Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Destiny Crossroads, and we're continuing our series on American history. In March 1621, the 53 survivors from the Mayflower had just come through a bitter winter. Then they realized they had made a fatal mistake. They had chosen the wrong place. Their Plymouth colony, on the Atlantic coast of present-day Massachusetts, was freezing in winter, windy year-round, rocky and hilly, with poor, thin soil, hardly a place fit for people. Just as these cold and hungry settlers were on the brink of despair, their savior appeared. One day, a man stepped out of the woods. He was powerfully built, his cheeks flushed, draped in deerskin, a bow in his hand, an Indian, the very figure everyone feared. He walked slowly up to the Puritans and, in English, said, "Welcome, Englishmen." That single sentence nearly knocked them over with shock. Meeting Indians in North America was not unusual, meeting one who spoke English was astonishing. Seeing the Englishman staring blankly at him, he went on, in halting English, "My name is Samoset. I learned some English from English fishermen and traders. In a few days I will bring my people to meet you. We wish to be friends." Samoset kept his word and brought more than 60 native people, among them Massasoit, the Sachem, and Squanto, whose English was excellent. Governor Carver received Massasoit with royal ceremony. To the sound of drums, Carver led Massasoit into his house, bowed and kissed his hand, and offered him what little wine remained. Carver and Massasoit then signed a peace agreement, pledging mutual non-aggression. After the meeting, Squanto stayed with the colony. As a boy, he had been kidnapped and sold into slavery in Europe, and only after 10 years did he escape and return to his homeland. During those 10 years he learned fluent English. Squanto taught the Puritans how to plant corn, where to fish, how to hunt, and how to prepare furs. He also guided them as they explored this unfamiliar land. The settlers called him the most unexpected gift from God. In September 1621, after Squanto's careful guidance and the settlers' hard work, the Puritans enjoyed their first great harvest in the New World. They did not forget their benefactors. They invited Massasoit and his people to celebrate the harvest and express their gratitude, an occasion later regarded as the origin of Thanksgiving. The Puritans were usually diligent and frugal, even a bit stingy, but this time they prepared an extravagant feast that fed 90 natives and 53 of their own for a full 3 days. The food wasn't refined by today's standards, it was truly wild fare. Besides corn, they ate whatever flew, walked, or swam. Governor Bradford sent people out for ducks, geese, turkeys, swans. There were also fish, oysters, eels, lobsters, venison, plus plums, dried fruit, pumpkins, and gourds. The natives didn't come empty-handed, they brought 5 deer. Everyone sang and danced, celebrating boisterously for 3 days. The Plymouth colony, which had once seemed on the verge of falling apart, survived with the help of the Indians. People hoped that the warm harmony between natives and European settlers would last forever. But history shows us another picture. Why was peace only a brief visitor? What fate did the Indians meet in their encounters with Europeans? And where did the original masters of the American continent come from? Please join the next story, Masters of the American Continent. The Americas are a continent blessed by nature, so beautiful it seems to drip with honey, so rich it seems to flow with oil. Yet, for reasons unknown, the first humans did not arise on this prized land. To borrow Darwin's logic, the monkeys of the American continent never became human, or perhaps there were never monkeys here that could become human. If we say that today's American nations are immigrant nations, we would not be wrong, for even they're native. Although archaeologists disagree on many details, most believe that the ancestors of the Indians migrated from Siberia in Eurasia during the Ice Age, roughly 12,000 years ago. At that time, vast waters were locked in ice, and sea levels fell. The Bering Strait between Eurasia and North America became dry land, known as Beringia. Its climate was mild, with grasslands, lakes, and forests, and it teemed with animals, massive bears and elephants, as well as sloths and camels. Fish filled the lakes and whales the sea. Hunters came to Beringia from Siberia, moving with their families, making camp wherever they went. Little by little, following the tracks of animals, they crossed the continental bridge into Alaska. Then, watching the birds fly south, they entered Canada. Farther south, they saw the Great Lakes, great rivers, forests, and prairies, a hunter's paradise. The beauty and abundance of the continent captivated the hunters, and their footprints soon spread across both North and South America. 2,000 years passed, the planet grew warmer. The seas flooded Beringia, and the Americas were finally cut off from Eurasia. Those who had remained could no longer return. They became the masters of the American continents, building homes and creating civilizations. They called themselves people. Before Christopher Columbus ever arrived, we may call them the indigenous peoples of the Americas. They forged brilliant civilizations, such as the Maya and the Aztec, that still inspire awe today. Their ways of life were richly varied. Some hunted, some fished, some farmed, and some foraged. Indigenous communities were organized chiefly as tribes or villages, not as vast unified states. Social forms differed from place to place. Some were matrilineal, some patrilineal, some communal, some private, some autocratic, some democratic, some egalitarian, others stratified. Between tribes there was peace at times and war at times. They regarded their own continent as the world, unaware of other human populations. They also domesticated crops such as maize, corn, potatoes, sweet potatoes, tomatoes, pumpkins, and squashes. In Eurasia, the staple grains were wheat and rice, wheat needing fertile soil, rice needing ample water, whereas maize can thrive in relatively poor soils, so its contribution to humanity's food supply is easy to imagine. When potatoes reached Europe, they quickly became a staple, saving millions from hunger. When maize and sweet potatoes reached China, they were soon embraced, and tomatoes, need we say more? Can you imagine pizza without tomato sauce? Time flowed quietly like the waters of the Mississippi. Humanity, like a small boat, drifted along to the late 15th century. The indigenous peoples did not realize that their fate, and even their name, was about to change. In August 1492, Christopher Columbus, 41 years old, set out from Spain with 3 modest ships and 90 attendants, sailing into the vast Atlantic. This Italian-born boy had learned from Marco Polo's book of a golden jewel China, and a glittering dream was kindled. He was convinced that by sailing west, he would reach that land of gold and spices. In those days, the West referred to China, India, Japan, and other East Asian lands collectively as the Indies. From childhood, Columbus was bright. He not only studied Marco Polo's travels, but also knew the theories of the ancient Greek geographer Ptolemy, understanding that the earth is round. He was an excellent navigator, with keen intuition and skill in calculating longitude, latitude, and wind speed. Aided by the compass, he could keep precise speed and heading. He carried a letter from the Spanish king to the Great Khan of China, and brought translators who spoke Arabic and Hebrew, thinking that would enable him to communicate with the Chinese. He seemed to have everything required to reach China, except for one mistake: he underestimated the size of the earth. To be fair, it was Ptolemy who had underestimated it. Ptolemy's earth was smaller than the real one, by about half. Under his calculations, the Indies, where China lay, would fall right where the Americas are, because people then did not know the Pacific existed. So when Columbus sighted the Bahamas, his first reaction was, China. China. Of course, Columbus soon realized this was not China. He knew China was vast and could never be confined to small islands. But he concluded that these islands belonged to the Indies, the outer isles of China, with China and India nearby, reachable by passing through them. Since this was the Indies, the inhabitants were naturally Indians. Thus the indigenous peoples of the Americas were, quite inexplicably, labeled Indians. Columbus crossed the Atlantic 4 times, tirelessly seeking China, more precisely, gold. He never set foot in North America, he only saw South America. Knowing China lay at higher latitudes, he concluded that South America was not China, but rather the Garden of Eden described in the Bible. Though Columbus died never knowing he had reached a new world, and without finding gold for the Spanish crown, his voyages and his courage to sail into the unknown ignited Europe's age of exploration. Thereafter, explorers and navigators, from da Gama to Columbus's friend Amerigo Vespucci, pressed seaward, until people finally understood they had discovered a new world. Amerigo Vespucci was not only an explorer but also a writer who portrayed South America's landscapes and peoples with vivid detail, opening Europe's eyes. In 1507, when Martin Waldseemüller unveiled a world map reflecting the latest geographical discoveries, he named the New World America, because he was an ardent admirer of Amerigo. From then on, the Americas, and their indigenous peoples, entered Europe's gaze and the surging currents of history. Let us trace the footsteps of European exploration and conquest. 1492, Columbus reached the Bahamas. 1497, da Gama rounded the Cape of Good Hope at Africa's southern tip. 1497, John Cabot reached Newfoundland in Canada. 1500, Pedro Alvarez Cabral reached Brazil. 1507, Amerigo Vespucci surveyed South America. 1508, Juan Ponce de Leon declared Puerto Rico a Spanish possession. In 1513, he reached the southern tip of North America and named the flower-filled land Florida. 1510, Vasco Núñez de Balboa reached Panama. In 1513, he became the first to see the Pacific from the American west coast. 1518 to 1522, Magellan and his fleet completed the first circumnavigation. 1519, Cortés landed in Mexico, destroyed the Aztec state, and founded New Spain centered on Mexico City. 1532, Pizarro invaded Peru and declared it a Spanish territory. 1536, Estevanico and Marcos de Niza explored Texas and New Mexico. 1540, Coronado explored Arizona, Kansas, and New Mexico. 1608, Samuel de Champlain founded Quebec, the core of the French colony in Canada. 1610, Henry Hudson made landfall at New York. The Spaniards, first to arrive in the Americas, believed their civilization was the greatest and their God the true sovereign, while the Indians were savages, their deities demons. The only way to deal with savages, they thought, was conquest. In South America, the Spaniards embarked, unreservedly, on a bloody campaign of subjugation. Bows and spears proved no match for muskets and steel, and the Americas were no longer a peaceful home for the indigenous peoples. After the brutal massacres, many of the surviving Indians of South America were enslaved by the Spanish. Yet the Indians' misfortune did not end there. What brought true catastrophe was not sword or slavery, but disease. Smallpox, measles, chickenpox, the Black Death, pathogens to which Europeans already had some immunity, were carried to the Americas by explorers and colonists and raced through populations with none, turning whole villages and tribes into empty lands. Across North and South America, indigenous peoples were nearly wiped out, about 75% died of smallpox. The loss of indigenous lives created a labor shortage in the Americas, directly fueling another evil, the Atlantic slave trade, a story for another time. With the discovery of gold and silver mines in Mexico and Peru, the Spanish Empire reached a brilliant zenith in the mid-16th century. In just 30 years, it seized half of South America, a territorial expansion that outstripped Rome's in 5 centuries. Yet the Spaniards, ardent, brave, and ruthless, had a fatal weakness: disunity. After they had driven indigenous peoples to near destruction, they turned on one another. The colonies had little intercourse with one another and often waged war among themselves. This was one reason no unified United States ever emerged from Spain's South American possessions. Spain's success and wealth made its European sisters green with envy. England, France, the Netherlands, and Sweden were eager to establish colonies in the Americas as well. Spain was an empire that followed the gold. After several probes found no gold in North America, it deemed the region a land without prospects. Thus, after securing Florida, Spain did not press further into North American colonization, leaving room for other European powers to expand in the New World. For the time being, the Indians of North America were spared Spanish massacres, but they did not escape epidemic disease. And over the next centuries, they would suffer continuous blows at the hands of British colonists and, later, Americans, their fortunes no better than those of their counterparts in the South. While other European powers were landing across North America, England's luck seemed poor. Its early colonial attempts ended in failure. Queen Elizabeth I could defeat Spain's invincible armada, yet she could not secure an English foothold in North America. Only in 1607 did King James I see new hope, when a private joint stock company stepped forward, vowing to take root in North America and make a fortune. Could this company make England's dream come true? And how would the English carve a colonial path different from Spain's? Next story, Virginia. Okay, thanks for watching this episode. If you're interested in this video series, please subscribe so you can watch it next time. I'll also update the show regularly. See you next time, bye bye.